Well, it is August the 21st and the first day in a good while that it's been under 100 degrees. So I thought it'd be a good time to come out in the woods and share an encounter report that I just received through the email. And also to say thank you to everyone who has supported my channel with your views and your likes and your comments and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for watching the podcast that I've been having. I've been having some pretty interesting guests on there, and I'm going to get some more lined up. But for this week, I wanted to get out here in the woods while it was cool enough to do so. So anyway, I'll go up here to my campsite that I've set up this tripod and share this encounter report that I just received. And this sighting took place in the Arbuckle Mountains down near Davis, Oklahoma, where more sightings come from that area than a lot of people realize. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma's mostly known for its Bigfoot activity down in the southeast part of the state, primarily in the Kiamichi Mountains and Ouachita National Forest and down in that area. But also the Arbuckle Mountains, which is more south and central part of the state, has its share also. So sign off for a second, get this tripod set up and get that report and share it with you guys. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here is this report that I just recently received that comes from the area of the Arbuckle Mountains in south central Oklahoma, in the area in the Davis Sulphur area, if you will. And like I mentioned when I was walking earlier, people think of Oklahoma Bigfoot sightings, they think of the Kiamichi Mountains down in the southeastern part of the state and the Ouachita National Forest and all of that area. But the area of the Arbuckle Mountains also has a rich history of Bigfoot sightings coming from there. And I've collected several from that area over the years, and this is the most recent. And I actually met this gentleman in person after he sent me the report. He came into my place of business and talked to me personally about this. He gave me permission to use his name and all of that stuff as well, but I'm just going to keep it on his first name basis, and if he wants to share his whole name, he can put it in the comments. But I'll say a thank you to this gentleman for sending this report. And with that being said, I'll get right into it. He said, "Hello, my name is Jeremy, and here's my Bigfoot encounter." He said this happened in early April of 2020 in the Arbuckle Mountains west of Davis on a hunting lease that my friend was hunting deer on. He said we went to the lease to shoot some coyotes and got out there around 10 p.m. one night. It was the middle of the COVID lockdown and we just had to get out of the house, and I can relate to that. It was a warm, windy night is how I remember the weather. He said my buddy had an app on his phone and a Bluetooth speaker that we would use to call up coyotes at night. He could play sounds like a baby rabbit or a struggling rabbit or a whiny puppy. Goes on to say we tried all of his sounds, and strangely we could not get anything to come up, and it was super quiet. This was my first time to hunt on the lease with him, and he told me that it was very rare that he couldn't call anything up. It was strangely quiet except for the wind rustling through the thick cedars. We posted up in what had been a good spot for him in the past to shoot coyotes for about an hour and a half. We had parked his truck about 300 to 400 yards down the rock trail that we used to get up to the top of the mountain. We started walking back down the trail, and after walking about 25 yards, I started hearing something walking with us about 20 yards back in the cedars to our east. Every time we took a step, it stepped with us. He said, I asked my buddy if he heard the leaves and sticks cracking. He said no, but he was carrying a rifle with a thermal imaging scope on it and instantly started looking through the scope in the direction that I pointed. He said, "Buddy, you're not going to believe this, but there is what looks like a giant Sasquatch back in there. It looks like it's looking right back at us." And he said, "I was also carrying a rifle, but without the thermal scope, so we swapped guns so that I could take a look." I could tell my buddy was serious because his voice had cracked and his eyes were bugging out. He said, "I looked through the scope and indeed saw a gigantic Bigfoot. I really think the thing was around 10 foot tall, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The shoulders on it looked to be very wide, like in comparison to a small car like a Chevy Equinox." He said, "It was gigantic. It seems like it just stood still for about 5 seconds and then just very quickly and strangely disappeared behind a tree. I don't know how it could hide behind a tree being so big, but it did. So we started walking again, and we could hear the leaves and sticks crunching again. It was like every time we took a step, it took a step with us. When we would stop walking, it would take another step, and we could hear the crunch in the leaves and sticks. It was so strange because it seemed like it wanted us to hear it. It was so obvious that there was something back in there. We probably stopped 4 times, and each time we took the time to find it in the scope, and every time we found it and got about 5 to 10 seconds to look at it." He said it looked like its body was outlined in yellow with red in the middle where its main body was. Just a giant mass of something standing there. Each time it gave us each a few seconds to look at it, and then it would slip behind a tree with so much grace that it was surprising for something of its size. We finally got back to my buddy's truck and took one last look. My buddy dared me to lob some bullets in there with his rifle, and he said, "I actually seriously considered doing that and even put my finger on the trigger. As soon as I put my finger on the trigger, it quickly ducked behind what I think was a big rock. We decided we should quickly jump in our truck and get out of there." We didn't talk about it much on the way home. I think we were in shock, which that's understandable. He said, "I've listened to some stories of people's encounters with a Bigfoot, and it seems like there's reported a foul odor in a lot of their stories, but," he said, "we never smelled anything. Nothing was ever thrown at us. The Bigfoot we saw never made a sound. It was just like it was walking right next to us through the woods, and it wanted us to know that it was there. We never really felt threatened. We just were kind of creeped out that something that big was just, quote, hanging out with us. It's like it was mirroring us." I say mirroring because I've heard that in other encounters that I've listened to as well. And he said, "Anyway, that's my story. If you would like to chat about it, feel free to respond to this email, and I can give you my number, or we can just keep talking through email. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading my story, Jeremy." So, Jeremy, thank you for sending me that report. And if you want to share your whole name on it when you watch this, you can in the report, in the comments under there. And one thing he mentioned there was how it seemed odd that it just so large a creature could disappear behind a tree. And that is similar to another report that I got from that exact area here a while back about a guy. This Sasquatch disappeared behind a tree to the point he thought it might have stepped out of this reality. It was just so elusive. And I'd have a report on that too. He had surmised maybe it stepped into what you hear people talking about, portals and stuff. But very good chance these beings are just so elusive and so good at getting out of our range of vision, if you will, that that's very good reason we don't find them very often. But anyway, Jeremy, thank you for sharing this. And if anybody listening to this report has a similar encounter or sighting from that part of the state, I would really like to hear about it. I add this to my database of sightings across the state of Oklahoma. If you want me to share your report on my YouTube channel, I will. If you do not want me to share it, I will just put it in a file. But regardless, I would like to have it. And not just from the Arbuckle Mountains, but anywhere. If you've got a Bigfoot report that you would like to share, just send it to me in an email at bigfootandmore@yahoo.com. That's bigfootandmore@yahoo.com. And if you're enjoying this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm sitting right on about 4,000 subscribers now, and I'm very thankful to everyone who has viewed my channel and supported me with your likes and your comments and all. And you know, I plan on sharing more as they come. And I've been doing a podcast lately, and thanks to everybody for watching that as well. And with that being said, I'm going to go put this report back in my truck, and I'm going to go for another walk in the woods. It's just really nice today. So until next time, you guys take care.